Let's go to Zein Basravi, who's in Dubai. So maritime traffic and trade interests in the region badly affected by what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Just bring us up to speed with what you understand about the situation with regard to the Gulf states.
Well, the number remains the same as it has since the war began, since before that, 20%. 20% of the world's oil and gas goes through the Strait of Hormuz. And it comes largely from these GCC countries. And ever since the war began, ever since there's been a halt on these shipments, ever since there's been attacks on oil and gas infrastructure, everything has been turned upside down. The international economy has been badly hit. GCC countries facing an existential crisis in terms of security, in terms of their economy. And as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, that existential threat remains. Now, the ceasefire meant that the lull that we have seen, the halt on aerial bombardments of GCC cities, that seems to be the status quo, that seems to remain, that seems to be static. And that's been certainly something that has come as a relief to the leaders, the residents of these countries. But as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains unstable, as long as you have the US and Iran taking shots at ships, going back and forth, effectively the return of the tanker wars of the 70s and the 80s, as long as that carries on, it remains as an existential problem, a crisis for the region's economy, for the region's security. Now let's just look at a couple of things that have happened in the last few days. The US military on Thursday saying that they've seized a second tanker associated with the smuggling of Iranian oil. This ratchets up a standoff seriously with the IRGC. And this comes just a day after Iran intercepted, attacked 3 vessels and seized 2 of those cargo ships. And both sides now releasing dramatic footage of those activities, military activities, naval activities being carried out in those maritime corridors. The United States showing footage of their military rappelling down on ropes, soldiers dropping onto the decks of ships from helicopters. The IRGC putting out footage showing their small ships, to small boats taking over these cargo ships. All of this continues to escalate tensions in the Strait of Hormuz and continues to take the two sides apart from negotiating any kind of solution. And for the GCC, for the region, that means a continuation of this conflict and a continuation of this limbo that we find ourselves in.
Zein, thank you very much indeed. Zein Basravi there in Dubai.